Recently, my LinkedIn has been absolutely flooded with Firebase Studio hype. Everywhere I scrolled, I saw the same posts flooding my feed because who needs original content when you can just copy someone else's, right? So to test out what these posts were claiming, I visited the Firebase Studio website and decided to give it a go. The promise is compelling. Build and deploy apps entirely in your browser, start quickly with templates supporting various programming languages, and get 3 free workspaces. If you're a part of the Google Developer Program, you can get 10 workspaces or 30 if you are part of the premium plan. In this video, I'm going to be taking you through the developer experience, which has the highest level of importance for me. After clicking the CTA, I am taken to a screen where I will click on checkboxes and regret my decisions later. Once we click on confirm, we then land on the home page. The interface is straightforward. You can type in your prompt to create an app, attach an image for context, or select from the pre-made prompts. You can also start a new workspace, import from an existing Git repo or an existing project, and select from any of the given templates. Now I am going to pick my personal favorite, which is Flutter from the given templates, and then name the workspace Tic Tac Toe because this is what I'm planning to build as a start. Once you click on create, it's going to do some Google-ish magic to load the editor. If this interface looks familiar to you, it's because 1. This is a fork of VS Code, and 2. This is the IDE from Project IDX as it is now part of Firebase Studio. The IDE opened the Gemini Copilot, the Android and web output tabs, which is nice. Just like Cursor, in the Gemini tab, we can ask the AI agent questions or ask it to write code. We can also talk to the agent using drawing, by uploading an image, or by referencing a file from the project. My fear about selecting models was actually right as well, as in the selection menus, I can't see any other model to select instead of the Gemini models. Great. And I also have some other questions, like why do I see this weird notification whenever I edit something, and why is the default version using the beta channel, or why can't I reference any of my files using the @ symbol? But let's ignore all of this for now and put Firebase Studio to the real test by building a tic-tac-toe app. We'll use a design I picked from Dribble as reference for this project. I'm going to add it to the chat and then ask it to create a tic-tac-toe app, which should also support web and multiplayer using Firebase. I'll say that I am open to architectural decisions that Gemini is going to make, but it should make sure to copy the design correctly. Now, as soon as I press on the send button, everything just disappears. Not sure if this is even worth trying out. But after a few seconds, the loading indicator shows up. And after a few more seconds, my prompt shows up. And then after a few more seconds, this shows up. If there is one thing that coding has taught me, it is to be persistent, and so I will hit the retry button, and this time it works. The Gemini Copilot will start generating files and ask me to review them while creating new files. I'm going to keep accepting those changes since I'm wipe coding. Once it's done generating, we're going to see that the project now has 34 errors. A side effect of wipe coding indeed, but let's ask Gemini to fix it for us. After a few minutes of error fixing, I was greeted with another beautiful error, and then with another weird message. And now, the errors have magically jumped from 34 to 48. So I asked Gemini to fix my errors, but this time I'm going to give it the reference of each file using my mouse. I wanted to fast forward this part, but I didn't because I want you to feel my pain as well. Once I give it the prompt, it's going to show me a few more errors, and then the most shocking thing comes up on my screen. Emotional, damn it! Firebase Studio is telling me to be gone. No thanks. I'd rather stay here and fight till the end. This time, I'm going to use a different strategy and ask it to fix errors in specific files instead of giving it big picture prompts. So first, I'm gonna ask it to fix errors in the game screen, then in the rule item file, and then in the rules screen. After these changes are made, the project is finally error-free, but for some reason, the Android preview window is crashing. So let's press the triangle again button to make it work. Once it restarted, for some reason, I wasn't able to press any buttons on Android. Let's switch to web and see if that works. And it does. The solo game screen has errors, but it works. I consider this as an absolute win. Now I'm going to ask it to start with the Firebase implementation. After adding the packages and making relevant changes in the main file, it's asking me to supply it the Firebase JSON files. I'm going to ask it to help me configure Firebase, and that's not going to work out. The AI agent will just spit out information related to how I can do it.
Fine. I'll do it myself.
Once done, I'm going to let Gemini know that I have configured Firebase and it can continue with the implementation. After the implementation, you guessed it, we got more errors. Using my previous strategy of effective error fixing, I ask it to fix the errors in the game screen. But this time, it just spirals into a big rabbit hole and has no intentions of coming out of it. First, the agent makes a change to remove some lines of code, then adds the same lines of code in the next change. And this continues on, and eventually I had to intervene. Also, if you look at the file, I don't know why, but it has a lot of line break characters embedded in the Dart code. Also, what is that? Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and ask the agent to fix errors in other files first. It's going to fix those, but it still missed a parenthesis in one of the files. I was too tired at this point, and so I stopped. And then I came back the next day to find this. Apparently, Firebase Studio is having some issues with workspace access. Anyways, I have no motivation to go back to my project anymore. Overall, Firebase Studio seems like a very rushed product. The dev experience is extremely disappointing with a lot of errors. But what really bothers me is the slow response time. On average, each request takes about 5 to 10 seconds for it to analyze and start generating the response. And then you have to wait a few more seconds for it to generate a response. From signing up to the end, it took me about 1 hour and 6 minutes. For something that's built to improve productivity, this is extremely slow. Talking about productivity, you see these hotkeys? Well, they don't work either. I don't get why it has to be similar to other products. Please, just innovate for once and come up with something original. Wait, no, not like that. If Google were truly committed to creating a cursor-like experience, it confuses me that they didn't adopt one of Cursor's most valuable features, the ability to choose from multiple AI models rather than limiting users to only Gemini. Also, I don't really want to switch from Flutter's beta channel to the stable channel every time I create a new project. Anyways, I hope you learned the truth about Firebase Studio in this video, and I will see you in the next one.